going to talk to you guys about recycling. Why do we recycle? Any good ideas? Why it's good?
Reduce waste.
Save the earth.
Save the
All of
earth.
the above, yes.
Alright, well, here's some of the answers you guys put online. It prevents the waste of resources. Recycling can ease the environmental pollution. We recycle paper, we don't need to cut down as many trees, less things going into landfills. And it makes us feel good. It makes us feel like we've accomplished something. It makes us feel like maybe we've resolved something or made up for some of the other bad things we've done in the environment. But I'm going to tell you guys about the downsides of recycling. Things like things that we should just throw away. How a lot of the things that we recycle and a lot of the ways that we recycle actually hurt the environment more than help it. And how the government is spending a lot of money on a recycling program that isn't really doing that much to help the earth. And how the truth about landfills and how they're not actually filling up. So, what are the things that we recycle? Paper, plastic, glass, and cans. Let's talk about paper. Saying that recycling paper helps reduce the cutting down of trees in America isn't exactly true. 87% of the paper that is made from trees that are specifically grown in orchards and in fields to make paper. So, every time a paper company needs to go get make more paper, they're not going into virgin rainforests and all these other forests around America cutting down these trees that are growing wild. They're mainly cutting down trees that are grown specifically for that purpose to make paper. So let's say we stop cutting down trees altogether for paper and only use paper that we recycle. What's going to happen to those thousands of acres of trees that are grown specifically to make paper? They're probably not going to stay there because land is valuable, and a land of trees that someone already owns they're not going to keep a field of trees that isn't being used. So they're going to make that into something else. We actually are increasing our tree rate. We've increased, since the 1920s, we have 40% more trees in America now than we did then. So, for this, it pays off to waste more paper. If you waste more paper, then we'll have to grow more trees. Does everybody get that? Stick that in your head. So, what we're going to do is, now that we know that's not true, we'll just cross this off the list. This marker sucks. So, cross that off the list because we know it's not true. Oh, that's much better, thank you. Let's look at the process that goes into recycling paper. First, you at home sort out all your paper and your plastic and you put it in your recycling bin. Then, a big gas-guzzling garbage truck comes and picks up that paper and brings it to a recycling center. Then more people sort out that kind of paper from the paper that actually can be recycled, what can't be recycled, and the different kinds of paper that it is. Then, another truck takes it to another paper mill, sometimes hundreds of miles away, to be made into pulp. At the paper mill, that paper is de-inked, bleached, and put through this big process using machines that put off real pollution and that put off and leave behind hazardous materials on the earth. Then the paper is turned into pulp using the equipment that leaves off that stuff. From the pulp, that's when we can finally start to make new paper out of recycled paper. This process is actually a huge waste of time, money, and natural resources. The gas we use, the pollution that we put off, the time and money that goes into sorting through all that stuff. It's actually a lot cheaper to make paper out just straight from a tree than to recycle it and to make new paper out of old paper. This prevents recycled plastic is used in a lot of things. Things like nylon, polyester, and rayon. So what we can do is we can take this plastic, recycle it, and mix it up with different cloths and cottons to make things like fleece jackets and fake leather pants, which is great, because I love my fake leather pants. But the not so great part is all these things that we make out of this recycled plastic, we can make better quality things, and we can do it a lot cheaper if we just do it with non-recycled plastic. The process of making plastic is along the same lines as process of recycling paper. There's a lot of stuff that puts off chemicals, pollution, and it's done in a big factory, and you have to do the transporting of it back and forth from place to place. So recycling. We're going to cross this part off. The recycling can ease the environmental pollution because it actually pollutes the environment more. Good news though, recycling cans is a good thing. We should all recycle cans. There's actual monetary value in aluminum, and it costs more to go dig up more metal and make new cans than to just reuse old cans. That's why we have like the deposits, and people go through trash every day looking for cans to recycle. This is not the case with paper, plastic, and glass. Those are all things that we should actually just throw away, if you ask me. And a lot of other people. The goal of recycling is to cause less harm to the earth and to save resources. But when the amount of pollution from cleaning, sorting, transporting, and remanufacturing is all added up, it can be a lot more harmful than just throwing these things into a landfill. So now I'm going to tell you guys the truth about landfills. Here it says less things going into landfills. We all think that's good because we all have this thought that our landfills are filling up, and if we don't keep recycling, someday we're going to be like living in all of our trash, and it's going to be everywhere, and it'll cover the streets. This is not true. There's no way we could actually fill up all of our landfills. The reason we all think that this can happen is because of this huge environmental movement. In 1987, there was this barge called the Mogro 4000. It's a big boat on the East Coast that was had a bunch of trash on it. In 1987, it wandered up and down the East Coast looking for a place to dump its 3,168 ton load of Long Island garbage, and it couldn't find a place to dock because no one would let it in. Because a rumor started that it was full of hazardous medical waste, so nobody wanted to put it in a landfill. So it wandered up and down from New York to Belize for 7 months trying to find a place to dump its garbage. Does anyone remember that at all? I was being born that year, so I don't remember it. But there was this huge, the media, 1987, yeah. Okay. But the media covered it as a huge story because the way the media covered it, they covered it that there was no room for all this garbage anywhere, and that our landfills are filling up because boats are going up and down in the sea, not finding a place to dump its garbage. It wasn't really true. It was more along the lines that it had hazardous material that nobody wanted. Now we have all new disposal ways that are more efficient and safer than in 1987. And in a lot of cases, these ways are more efficient, safer, and cheaper than recycling. All landfills now have to pass numerous safety, pollution tests, and government regulations to be a landfill. Landfills are made now with an 8-foot, so that's this tall, 8 feet of impermeable clay and gravel to protect the surrounding water sources and land. The EPA recently did a test that says that there's a 1 in a billion chance of harming any environment around it in a landfill.